Hello everyone, Zia on this side. A brief introduction of mine. I've done MSc Zoology. Have qualified CSI and JRF with all India rank 65. Have qualified SET Maharashtra as well for the lectureship. And one more exam that is called as PET for the PhD. Currently I am doing my PhD at SPPU, Pune. So let's get started. Our today's topic is ecosystem. Okay. Here, so we'll be dealing with the definition first. Here, like the biotic communities along with the physical environment constitute an interacting system. It may be natural or artificial. So basically, like the community which are constituting in an interacting system, or like the interaction of the community will be forming a ecosystem. The ecosystem may be natural or it may be artificial as well. It may be temporary or it may be permanent. The scientist who coined the term ecosystem is called as Tansley. It's the Tansley. So first we are dealing with the artificial ecosystem. Here, basically like the artificial ecosystem will be man-made. Here, for example, villages, cities, orchards, plantation gardens, dams, canals. These all will be the example of artificial ecosystem. And if you are dealing with the factors of the ecosystem, like you will be dealing with the abiotic factor and the biotic factor. Only two factors will be there, like in the ecosystem, the abiotic factor and the biotic factor. So first we are dealing with the abiotic factor. Here, like many different types of the abiotic factor are there. For example, like the temperature, humidity, rain, snowfall, and all. So we are just dealing with them one by one. The first one is called as a temperature abiotic factor, which is comprising in the field of ecosystem. So here we have divided like the organism into different types. For example, like the stenothermal or euthermal, or they are like the megathermal ultimately, and mesothermal. Simple. So what does the stenothermal organism means? Which means they can live on constant temperature. Or rather, in other words, they cannot tolerate variation in the temperature. If there is an organism which can live at 35 degrees Celsius only, it cannot live at 40 as well, it cannot live at 30 as well. So the organism will be called as stenothermal. The euthermal organism are the one which can tolerate wide range of variation. A wide range of variations in the temperature. There are some special animals which can live at high temperature as well, so they are called as a megatherms. Mesotherms are the one which can live at the high summer temperature and lower winter temperature as well. They can like adjust on the basis. Okay. The second factor in the ecosystem is called as a wind factor, in which which modifies the relation of water and the light conditions. If I'll be dealing with the precipitation or the rainfall, here I'll be dealing with it can affect the vegetation as follows. If there is a heavy rainfall throughout the year, tropical areas especially, it will be giving you evergreen forest. If there is heavy rainfall during the winter and low rainfall during the summer, it will be going for sclerophyllous forest. You just need to remember the names. If the heavy rainfall throughout the year, evergreen forest. If there is heavy rainfall during winter and low rainfall during summer, it will be sclerophyllous forest. If there is like vice versa case, heavy rainfall in the summer and low rainfall in the winter, it will be giving you grassland. If the humidity is also a factor, that is also called as the atmospheric moisture, which is in the form of visible vapor. We have light as well, and like the quality, intensity and the duration of light does matters. All three affect the rate of transpiration as well as the rate of the photosynthesis of the plants. We do know about the SDP, DNP and the LDP type of plants as well, like the short day plant, day neutral plant and the long day plant. Ultimately they flower on the basis of amount of the light available to them. One more important factor is called as topography, which is like the surface configuration of the area. For example, like the areas are divided into hills, plains or slopes, something like that. You can deal with like the study of the geography. We have already dealt with them. This also influences the distribution of organism. So basically, because the species live at a very specific part and it have a certain habitat as well. So basically, with the function of that niche, basically like you should be knowing about the meaning of the niche as well. Like it is the role of the organism played in a particular habitat. It is the role of the organism played in the particular habitat. For example, like the food relation and like the predators, like the tolerance level of that species. So these are also called as abiotic factor. I'll be dealing with the last one, I should say, like the abiotic factor. It's called as the soil, which provides surface water and the nutrients for the growing and the encourage of the plants. Basically, like there are a lot of different details present in the formation of the soils, but still I'll be just going for the important ones. Here, the weathered mineral matter in the change to the soil by the process of like there's a process called as pedogenesis by which soil formation takes place, in which the humification also takes place. Humification, elevation and illuviation. There are two words that is called as illuviation and illuviation. What does illuviation means? It is just like the leaching or the washing down, whereas the illuviation means the deposition in the lower layers. The residual soil develops in the situ. Basically, like the transported soils are brought from the other places through the gravity or the running water. Deal with the cases. There is a cross section as well, like the soil is basically divided into horizons, that is called as the four horizon A, B, C and D. So we are just dealing with one each of them one by one. So the first thing first, like the uppermost horizon is called as the A horizon. It is dark colored, spongy and topsoil, rich in mineral and organic matter. It shows maximum biological diversity as well, and it is covered by organic litter on the top. So basically, like the humus is also present in the A horizon only. Now, what is the color of the A horizon? It is dark and light, both color. In case of the B horizon, what you are having, like the subsoil, which is having dark color and light color both, and it is the region of illuviation. Hopefully you do remember what is the meaning of illuviation. C horizon, it is rich in moisture with irregular rock fragments. I repeat, C horizon is rich in moisture with irregular rock fragments. Hopefully you have like observed C horizon as well. D horizon, or last what we call as the bedrock. There is one more name for the D horizon, that is called as R horizon. Deal with. It is the solid one, the most solid one. Okay, what does the humus means? Humus is basically formed by the accumulation of partially decayed and partially synthesized organic materials. It helps in making the soil granular. It causes the air spaces to be formed in the clay soil, and ultimately it will be increasing the WHC, or what we call as water holding capacity of the soil. So please deal with the thing, and like the most important sentence is called as humus is rich in the nutrients. Humus is rich in the nutrients. Okay, these all were the abiotic components, and now we are dealing with the biotic components as well. So the most important, like the biotic components in the ecosystem, are the green plants, which produce the carbohydrate by the photosynthesis, and they also synthesize proteins and the fats as well. So they are called as producers. So green plants are called as producers. The animals which consume green plants are called as consumers. And basically there are some non-green organisms as well. For example, fungi and the bacteria, which are incapable of producing the food. So they are called as decomposers. They are called as decomposers because they live and they feed on the dead and the decaying plants or the animals. Now, so ultimately we have three names now: the producer, the primary consumer and the secondary consumer. What does the difference between the primary consumer and the secondary consumer means? So basically, like the animals which are directly feeding on the producers are called as primary consumer, and the carnivore organism which are feeding on the primary consumer are called as secondary one. The example for the carnivores or the secondary consumers are tigers and the lions. So deal with these things as well. Okay, so like the relation I'll be just going for like in a single line, like the grass is the producer, then deer is the primary consumer, then tiger is the secondary consumer. Okay, deal with. Now here, like the energy and the food chain is also there. Like depending upon the availability and the choice of the food, different organisms at each trophic level have more than one organism at the lower level. So they will be forming a network of food chain, like the grass to the deer to the lion, even like the grass to the deer to the tiger, grass to the rabbit to the wolf, ultimately these things. Now the energy fixed by the autotroph during the photosynthesis get incorporated into the organic compounds, and ultimately it will be transferred into the next trophic level, which means from producer to the primary consumer, from primary consumer to the secondary consumer, from secondary to the top carnivore and all. So basically, like the percentage of the energy which is transferred from one primary level or one trophic level to the next trophic level, we should be knowing. Here, when the plants are eaten by the animals, about 10% of the energy food is transferred into the animal's flesh. And again, if a carnivore or the top carnivore is eating an animal, the energy gain is only 0.0% of the net productivity of the plant. Do remember one thing, like the energy transfer in the trophic level follows the Liebig's 10% law. The energy transfer follows Liebig's 10% law, which means in each trophic level, the energy will be reduced of like only 10% of the energy will be reaching in the next trophic level. So please deal with the cases as well. Hopefully my lecture series are beneficial for you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you very much for your so much support.